Hi, everyone. Happy Wonderland Wednesday. Thanks for tuning in this evening. It is Wednesday, November 4th. And how are you doing? How, how are you hanging in? I know it's been a bit of a stressful week for a lot of people. So I hope that this is a little momentary distraction. And I hope that you're getting through your week okay. I'm really excited because our guest tonight is Bill Farmer. Bill Farmer is a Disney legend. He is the voice of Goofy as well as Pluto, as well as like a million other things, Disney related and not. And Bill's amazing. His credits read like a list of like every Disney show you've ever seen before. So we're really, really excited to bring him on the show today. Let's see. I don't think he's on just yet, but I'm sure he'll be joining us shortly. So yeah, just if you have a second, go ahead and type in one word with how you're doing today. Let me know whatever that word is. However you're feeling is totally fine. Hi, Bill. It's good to see you. Hey, Ed. Hey, Tim. It's really good to see you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and add Bill right now, actually. Yes. Oh, he even requested. That made it so much easier, Bill. Thank you. Okay. Word, if you guys want to give me one word of how you're feeling today, that would be awesome. Let's see. Hey, Jeff. It's good to see you. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. Hey, Bill.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm so good. How are you? And
Very good,
anyone says
very
that
good.
thing where when it goes to two people, it's suddenly like zips it
Yeah, no, it's
very
like I
close.
gotta sit up a little bit more. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull the
That's
camera back. Hi.
good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, it's so good to see your face. I haven't seen you in months because of the pandemic.
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody in months.
Yeah, I think I saw you probably just right as every maybe February or early March. I feel like I saw you just right before everything was shutting down.
Yeah, I've gone through about 2 tanks of gas since March in my car. I had to actually jump it the other day because it just, petered out. The clock ran it down.
Oh
So,
God.
I got to get out and drive more.
Yeah, go see the lovely San Fernando Valley. It's just so scenic and beautiful here.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not 110 degrees either, so that's nice.
Yeah, the weather was gorgeous today. Were you outside at all today?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been hanging out by the pool and taking down Halloween decorations.
Oh, do you go all out for Halloween?
Oh, absolutely. Even with the pandemic, now our street normally gets blocked off by the city, so there's thousands of kids, and we usually give
Oh,
out about 500, 600 pieces of candy. But and we didn't
wow.
know what it was going to be this way, but we decided, hey, people will drive by, you might as well brighten their day a little bit. So we still decorated like everything, and
Yeah.
we passed out candy. We had what we called the candy cannon. And I'd be a
Ooh.
pirate out there. But basically, it was a big PVC pipe about 6 inches, and I made it look like a cannon. And
Yeah.
so the kids would put their little box and everything at the front of the cannon, and then out comes get ready for the candy, and then down it comes, and social distance, and people were saying, "Oh, thank you so much for doing this." The kids were like all bummed because they couldn't do Halloween much, and people would drive around and they'd see people that were passing out candy,
Yeah.
and you know, uh,
Like
it's
pull the car
safe,
around.
and yeah, they loved it. They loved it, and
Do
we
you
probably had
actually
80 to
dress up?
100 kids.
Oh, that's a fair turnout for a global pandemic.
Yeah, and then we went in the back and drank.
That's so perfect. Did you dress up like a pirate?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You have to have the candy cannon. You got to be the candy pirate.
What is your pirate's drink of choice?
It's bourbon. It be bourbon. Should be rum, but it's bourbon.
Yeah, well, a little creative liberty, right? A lot of people jumping on and saying hi. I know it's kind of hard to keep track of the timeline at the bottom, so don't worry about that.
Okay.
But I do see we have one question has already come in. Great
Oh,
from
great.
Jeff. I want to just let everybody that's just jumping on for the first time know this is Alicyn's Wonderland. It's a weekly show we do where we interview people that work in animation and video games. So today we're with Bill Barber. Yes, right down there. The voice of Goofy. As well as Pluto. You probably like people generally say Goofy and then like They're like, oh,
Yeah, it's kind of always is number one in the list. So,
yeah,
but there are others, you know.
yeah. I know. I was like, your resume is basically a list of just every Disney TV show for like the last 30 years. You've done a lot.
Oh, well, I try and keep it. Actually, it's kind of odd. During the pandemic, the one thing that hasn't shut down is animation. So I'm on about 6 shows right now, and I do them all right from here. And I
That's
don't have
amazing.
to, I don't have to wear pants. So it's like, you come in, you get behind the microphone, and you do it via Zoom and record here. My son's an audio engineer, so he kind of engineers them for me. And we send them the WAV files, and boom, it's perfect.
So how do you prefer, do you prefer going into the studio or are you just as happy working from home?
It's easier working from home because I just
Mhm.
come in, down the hall. But I like going in just to see people, if nothing else, because you get, you just kind of go a little stir crazy with all this virus stuff. And so you want to see people. And occasionally, if Austin's working on something else and it's a long session, or ADR or something like that gets a little tricky and he's not here, I will go into Out Loud Audio is where we record a lot of the stuff for Disney. And I'll go in there, and I've done that several times. And that's been an easy experience. They're very safe COVID wise. And so you go in a different, the back door, and then they just
Mm.
usher you right into the room and to the recording booth, and you're fine. It's very easy.
No coffee and tea though.
They'll bring it to you though.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
I feel like that was one of
Get personal
the things.
service.
Personal service. You got to use your own cup though. Wow. I kind of wanted to start off on a little bit of a different note because
Yeah.
everybody's familiar with voice acting work, but you have a new TV show on Disney Plus where you
Yeah.
are the host and show creator, producer on the show, and it's A Dog's Life with Bill Farmer.
Yeah.
So
Who knew?
who knew?
Well,
How did that come about?
Well, it was kind of funny. A friend of mine who lived in Reno and is a cameraman on the show The Amazing Race for like 20 some seasons
Wow.
wanted to put together a little kind of a sizzle reel to sell an idea to the local TV shows up in TV stations in Reno. And it was just kind of human interest stories. But
Yeah.
the place he picked was an equestrian center, and they have people from all over the country keep their horses there, and they go on these like fox hunts, like the old English fox hunts with the red outfit and the little hat, and the 50 Walker hounds that, and there's no coyote, there's only coyotes, there aren't any foxes, and they don't really chase the coyotes, so they're just out for exercise, really.
Hmm.
But I went up there and we interviewed this kind of eclectic lady that started this equestrian center, and we were seeing the hounds and all of that, and we got the footage, and the footage of me playing around with the hounds just kind of jumped out at it because I was just in a mood, and so I start doing like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like you dogs are gonna get out there, you're flabby, the coyote is going to run away from you, and just that kind of stuff. But that footage kind of jumped out at us, and we
Hmm.
decided, well, why don't we try and make this into a TV show about me talking about dogs, stepping out from behind the microphone, since I've been doing dogs for 30 some years, and finding out about real dogs that have jobs. Long story short, we were able to get a meeting over at Disney Plus, and we presented the idea, and they loved the idea and bought the series on the spot. And that, as I understand, never happens.
Yeah.
And so we did 10 episodes, 20 stories. We went everywhere from Hawaii to Maryland to Texas to New York to California to Huntington Beach to everywhere, Colorado, and found out about dogs that do interesting jobs. So they buried me in the snow in Telluride, Colorado, and had the avalanche rescue dogs find me. We went to Rabbit Hash, Kentucky. Their mayor is a dog. We went up to upstate New York, where they have guide dogs for the blind, but this is a little differently because it's Olympic, Paralympic athletes who run. And they're blind, but they have a guide dog that runs with them in like
That's
the,
amazing.
mile or something like that.
Funnily enough, Kyle Weinberg just said that they are watching it at this interview at their guide dog group. So there's a
Oh
whole
my
group
gosh,
of people tuning in right now at a guide
that's
dog group.
amazing.
So funnily enough, wow, that's amazing. Any of the other? What are some of the other places you went? I
Oh,
mean, my
well,
goodness.
one of my favorite ones was the first episode where we went up to near Vancouver, went on a boat with some scientists from the University of Washington to find whale poop.
Whale poop.
Yeah, killer whale poop. The scientists have to collect it to study how well the whales are doing, what they're eating, that kind of stuff. And, you know, just looking for it, it floats for about 10, 15 minutes, and then it goes away. The dog, though, will let you know if it's in the area. They got a little dog, a little Jack Russell Terrier pit bull named Eba that gets on the boat, and when she smells one, she goes nuts and, you know, and all of this. And they find the sample, they take it in, and they learn all about the killer whales.
You know, my son was so in love with that episode. The last thing you need to do is get like a 4.5-year-old boy more into poop than they already are naturally.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he just was like, like, ew, like whale poop? Like this is on television? Ooh, this is the best thing ever.
Oh, I'm
A lot
glad he
of people
liked it.
saying
I'm
fun
glad he
episodes.
liked it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's amazing. So you did 10 episodes. And didn't your
Yeah.
wife, Jennifer Farmer, also was involved in that project?
Yeah, she was an executive producer along with me. And I mean, it was like we had 20 some employees and we had researchers. We had, you know, it's quite involved to do a television show, even a little one like ours on Disney Plus. And we just had a blast. And of course, you know, last 30 years, I'm stuck in a microphone booth. And that's kind of fun to get out once in a while and travel around.
You know, I was thinking about that because people who know you may just know you from your voiceover work, but
Yeah,
your background is in stand-up comedy and
right.
acting, and you did stand-up for years. So,
Yeah,
was
that's
it?
I think the hardest thing I've ever done was stand up, but it was also the best training for voiceover.
Tell
Because
us
if
more about that.
Yeah, well, it's like when I teach students, you know, you've got to get out in front of people. First of all, it's a little intimidating, as you know, to go into a booth and they're looking at you through the glass and you're doing an audition for them and everything, and you're kind of sweating it out. But you've got to take these words on a page and bring life to them, make them
Right.
jump off the page. And the best way I found that taught me was doing stand up because if it ain't funny, they're not going to laugh. It's true. It's not like your wife or a husband saying, "Oh, that's great, honey. That was just wonderful." And no matter how bad the joke is. But if you do it in front in a comedy club and it doesn't fly, you know it. So I'd
Yeah.
tape my shows, listen to it, figure why didn't that joke go over? What could I have done differently? How could I change the punchline? The delivery, all of that. And you get to learn after a while what works with an audience. And that comes
Yeah.
in invaluably in a booth because, you know, they give you a script and boom, you've got to bring it to life and, you know, make it better than it is on the page.
Yeah. And the thing is, too, I feel like stand up is the type of thing where you can start in any city and
Yeah.
many small towns, and they have comedy clubs or open mic nights, and you can just go. It's not like, oh, I want to be
Yeah.
a voice actor where you have to generally move to Los Angeles or New York and start auditioning. And, you know, there's a lot of XYZ, and we can get into that later. But stand up comedy, you know, you can just find a place where you can do an open mic night and get up there and start
Yeah.
failing and fail
That
big because you know that's how you learn.
Exactly. And when I first came out to California, I took classes from a guy, Dawes Butler, who was a
Oh,
great voice actor of Hanna-Barbera, Yogi Bear, Huckleberry Hound, Captain Crunch, Elroy Jetson, about 40 some major characters. And he was the one that really said, "You're not doing voices. You are portraying characters that may have weird, funny voices, but it's the personality, it's the emotion, it's the situation that you're really doing. You are acting. It's not voice acting, it's voice acting with emphasis on the acting." And that was the best
exactly.
advice I ever got in the beginning. Take acting lessons. That's important.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So then tell us a little bit about your early days. I've heard a little bit of this story before, but take us back to the comedy clubs in Houston. Take us back to the early days and when you came out to LA.
Oh my gosh. Well, even further back than that, I had always wanted to try show business, but I grew up in Kansas and there's no outlet for that. Long story short, I got my degree in broadcast journalism, kicked around in radio for a number of years, which gave me some on-air exposure of, ripping and reading the news, playing records, all the things a DJ does. Got out of that because there was no money in it, and I wasn't very satisfied. Got into electronics for a few years, still wasn't satisfied. And they had an open mic night at a comedy club in Dallas back in 1982. And I went one week and I saw the guys and I said, I needed to try that. So I wrote a little routine and went up the next week and got a pretty good response. And the house comic, who's famous now by Bill Engvall, who was on if you remember, like Larry the Cable Guy and Jeff Foxworthy, the blue collar comedy tour. Yeah, he's on that. He's also was on Dancing with the Stars last year. Anyway, he's been very successful, and he was the house comic working out his stuff. And he was this one that said, you got to try. You ought to give this a shot. And I did that for about 5 years. Worked my way up.
First time?
The first time he said, you don't need to. Yeah, give this a shot. Give it a few months. And you go up and you fail, and then some dates it's better than others, and you get better if you keep doing it. Yeah. And before long, I was traveling around Texas and the South, different comedy clubs. Then I moved out to California on the advice of an agent I had in Dallas. Said, all the voices you do and impressions and stuff, why don't you try it in Hollywood? Yeah. I left my wife in Dallas. I got an apartment out here and was able to get an agent right away. And about 5 months after that, I got a call and said, do you do any of the Disney characters? And I thought, well, I'd never really thought of doing any. And I said, you play around with voices. So I could kind of do a Mickey, gosh, oh boy, if you can do that falsetto, you're kind of in the ballpark. And gosh, but Goofy was right in the wheelhouse. But I'd never really done it before. And I just got a cassette with the original voice, got it over a weekend, kind of copied that. And about a month later, they called and said they'd like to use you as Goofy. Now, it's not like, you're now signed to a 30-year contract. It's just day player stuff, one job. If you suck, they won't call you again. Yeah. Luckily, they did call me again and again. And by about 3 years into it, I figured, well, maybe I've got the job. And now this January will be 34 years. And so I guess I have the job finally.
I guess you have the job. So nobody on this trying. By the way, if anybody has questions for Bill, down at the bottom,
be glad to answer anything.
Button, we can try to get to those towards the end. Wow, that's so amazing. So impressions. So what other impressions do you do?
Oh gosh, in the old days I used to do a lot of stuff on TV mostly, and it wasn't. I do cartoon characters. Some of, when I was listening to Dawes Butler, I'd work on Yogi Bear. Hey, boo-boo, how's it going? Exit, stage left. From Fuckatash. Where's that Tweety bird?
Oh, I thought I saw a putty tad. Oh, brother, ain't I a stinker?
And I just would play with all of those voices and stuff, and characters on TV I'd listen to and try and copy, like Green Acres was a favorite of mine. So I'd start doing that Mr. Haney, Pat Buttram, who used to come out on that show, and a lot of Jimmy Stewart. Of course, all of those voices are great training, and you study the voice, and you do it over and over, and you get better at it and stuff like that.
You character actors and Walter Brennan and all them old ones.
And I just played with it and just kind of added a little to the repertoire of, you know, comedians and movie stars and animated characters, and never thinking that I get a chance to actually do it. It was just kind of a fun thing to do. But I didn't think of it as a career.
Yeah, and there's definitely a whole ADR and looping and matching voices is
Yes, I've done a lot of that. Yeah.
pretty popular line of work for a voice actor these days. So
Yeah, and it's so great because you get to do all sorts of characters. I've been doing some movies for Illumination, like Sing, and I was
Mhm.
again another dog, a dog reporter. The Lorax, let me see, Horton Hears a Who, and of course a lot of Disney ones in the beginning, from Beauty and the Beast and Hunchback of Notre Dame and Tarzan and Toy Story 2, Bugs Life, Monsters Inc., stuff like that, and on the Loop Group. And it's just the joy of working, you know. I love doing it. And I got to do some of the Warner Brothers characters in Space Jam, Sylvester, Yosemite, Foghorn, and Robot Chicken. I got to do Bugs and Daffy, which was a lot of fun. And,
a lot of
you
people
know,
asking about the Space Jam sequel. Do you know anything? Can you tell us anything about
no,
that?
I think they use Eric Bauza, and Warner Brothers is totally different than Disney in that they, you know, they kind of switch voices a lot.
Yeah.
Disney, with Roy Disney and Michael Eisner, when we did ours, there were about 4 or 5 guys doing Goofy and Mickey and everything down at the park in Florida. But they decided they wanted to settle on one voice, so you always heard the same voice, because everyone's different. And
Yeah,
luckily, I got those characters, and they're still sticking with it.
that's great. I know that brand loyalty is a good thing for voice actors for sure.
Yes.
Um, so I mean, speaking of, you mentioned that you were a dog that interviews. I know that you had a cameo or like a small role in RoboCop.
Oh, I
Um,
did that when I lived back in Dallas. Yeah.
can you tell us that
And
story? Because I think it's such a funny, interesting credit that you have.
well, they shot a lot of that in Dallas,
Mhm.
and I didn't know anything. You know, who's this Paul Verhoeven guy and this RoboCop? Okay, I knew it was a movie, and they wanted an on the street reporter, and I'd done news for years and years with the big over the top kind of Gary Owens kind of thing.
Radio on
Um,
the radio.
but this is live on the street, and I can remember to to today exactly what I said. I had a paragraph, and it's the first
Oh,
movie I ever did, so I was terrified.
treat us.
And it was like, terrorism has never been a factor in this city's politics before, but all that changed let me see. But all that changed when someone entered the upstairs with Lieutenant. Let me see. Can't remember. It's only been 30 some years.
I know. I should have like
Lieutenant Hedge,
I
and then I
should
go
have
over to
the tape.
Lieutenant Hedgecock. Well, when we did it on the set, I did it about 1 in the morning, and it was about 95 degrees
Oh,
because it was in August of 1986. And Peter Weller in the RoboCop outfit was dying. You know, he'd do one take, and then they'd have to blow air up his sleeve because he was going to faint. So we do that a few times, and then Paul Verhoeven said, "Okay, that's too long for you to back up and hit your mark. So cut this, 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 and this." And I'm going, I just spent like 3 weeks learning this thing. And there were cars zipping in and all of this kind of stuff. And
oh,
so on the actual thing, I just kind of paraphrased. I said, you know, terrorism has never been a factor in the city's politics before, but until a man, Ron Miller, entered City Hall with a gun. He's now in the second floor office holding Mayor Clifford Gibson and his staff hostage. Lieutenant Hedgecock, what's next? And I'm trying to stumble my way through it, and a look of terror was on my face, and I didn't know if the guys were really stunt drivers in the cars, but we got through it. And yeah, it was quite terrifying, but
you used it, right? I mean, the reporter probably would have had some nerves as well. So you were like,
oh yeah, and so it was real terror and excitement in my voice and eyes. It made it easy to act.
they're like, wow, that guy. I just want to say, so if anybody has questions for Bill, make sure to put them, don't just put them in the timeline, please. There's a question button at the bottom and you can enter them in there. And that way I'll
Yeah,
be
I'd
able
love
to
to
sort
answer
through and
anything.
find them. I did see one question go through. um, about what's your favorite type of dog? I know you have a
Oh,
dog.
yes, I have
What type of dog?
a black lab pit bull mix named Boo. We
Mhm.
call her Boo because she's got a white spot, patch on her chest that looks like a little ghost. And also, she's afraid of everything. For part pit bull, she's just afraid of everything. She's afraid to go in the car. She still doesn't like car rides. If I say, "You want to go in the car?" she'll just turn around and go in the house. Won't go. And we also have a smaller dog, a Westie mix named Roxy, who loves the car. So they're
Mhm.
all different personalities. And I had a golden retriever for 15 years, and they are the best dogs ever.
Super smart.
Mine was just totally nuts about the tennis ball and would sleep with it in his mouth and everything. But as far as a nice, great dog, you can't beat a golden retriever.
Mm. Um, okay, let's see. So, the other thing I wanted to chat with you about, this kind of segues into Jeff's question, which is, so you, in addition to being a voice actor, are also a coach for voice actors as well as a demo producer.
Yeah.
Toon House Productions is your production company, and
Yeah.
people can go to
Toonhouse Incorporated. Yeah.
Toon House
And
Incorporated.
people can check it out online at toonhouse.com, TOONHOUSE.com. My son kind of followed my footsteps a little bit, but he's much more musical than I am. He's a professional drummer and an audio engineer, and he went through audio engineering school, and he's working this week on a couple of TV shows doing audio, and he does my audio, and he's done albums. And if you go to his website, which is drumfarmer.com, you can
Drum
see
Farmer.
movies of him doing it. He's got a lot of music and stuff that he does on that. And he helps me out here. And I teach via Zoom or online, or when COVID's over, hopefully here in the studio.
Yeah.
And I've got a whisper room out in my garage, which when we do demos, we just run a very long mic cable from there into this room where the equipment is, and we record safely. And I've got a $900 COVID light that'll kill every virus, which we do between clients and stuff, keep it all safe. It's a
Wow.
dangerous light too, because it'll blind you, they say. If
Don't
you
stare
can't
at
be in
the
the room
time.
with it, and it'll burn your skin in about 2 minutes. So it's got a 50-foot cable, and you got to be outside. You put the bulb in there in the booth, drag this 50-foot cord out there, turn it on for about 10 minutes, and it's sterile.
That's fantastic. You got to be careful where you put that thing, though.
Yeah, yeah.
No more
Um,
kids.
you've been my coach for, you've helped coach me on a lot of stuff, and you're so great to work with. So if people are interested in your coaching services, should they just contact you through the Toon House website?
Yeah. My son kind of handles that, and the dealing with his schedule is I'm always here. He's busier than me, so we work around with his schedule and stuff.
Mhm.
But as far as coaching, yeah, just contact toonhouse.com, and be glad to help anyone out.
Cool. Um, yeah. So, I mean, you won the Annie Award.
I was very
Not,
fortunate for
yeah,
actually a cartoon on the Mickey Mouse shorts, which
Mhm.
are kind of, if you haven't seen those, they're kind of they look a little different. We're in our fifth season of that,
Yeah,
and
they're intense.
they are intense. They're totally, I noticed when we did a cartoon where Goofy's a zombie, they never would have let us do that before. And I said, "Oh, he's
Yeah,
going to be a zombie. This is so cool." And we get to go to places that a little more adult stuff than
yeah.
we do on, say, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse or
No, it's
Mickey and the
preschool stuff.
Roadster Racers. And
Yeah.
I like those kind of stories. I play also on a series called Amphibia, which is on
Yes.
Disney Channel, and I play a character named Hop Pop,
Pop pop.
and he's the patriarch. So everyone around the house now, I'm Hop Pop. So I've
At
got
your
a
house,
name.
they call you Hot Pop.
Yep.
Is that limited to just people in your household, or can we just all be like Hot Pop?
Well, after this, maybe not.
Um, yeah, I was actually going to say, and also your doc on 7D, so a lot of patriarchs.
Oh
Actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
7D was a great one. Once in a while you get a cast that is just incredible to work with. When I first started doing Goofy back in the early 90s, we had a series called Goof Troop. And that was terrifying for me because we had Frank Welker, we had Jim Cummings, we had Rob Paulson, Nancy Cartwright, April Winchell. I know Dana Hill, who played Goofy's son Max in that. And Jenny McSwain directed that. And that was like being thrown into the pit because we didn't ever get a rehearsal. We'd get our script, a 42, 43-page script, boom, in ensemble in the studio and just go. Yeah. That was a little terrifying. And this one, 7D, was great because we had, Jess Harnell, we had Kelly Osbourne, believe it or not, was one of the characters. We had Billy West, Kevin Michael Richardson, we had Steve Stanton, Scotty Menville, Maurice LaMarche. I mean, we had Dee Baker. I mean, we had some of the top people, and it was a fantastic time to get to work with all of them. I mean, you know, that's a powerhouse a cast.
Powerhouse. And you guys would just all be in the booth because
we did in the beginning, but then they quickly, and most all the stuff at Disney now, it's all solo. But we did the first few to kind of get each other's timing and the way that the characters responded and acted, so you can do that without them there. But most things, at least at Disney, are a solo now.
Oh, do you find that less fun, or is it nice because it's a little more efficient?
It's more efficient. You can get in and out, but I miss being with people and riffing and stuff like that. You know, and also it's easier to respond to a line of dialogue with your line if you can hear the way that they do it.
Right.
Now I have to
For example, stop right there.
Yeah.
If I say it that way, you're going to react different than like, stop right there.
Right here.
Stop right there. You know?
Yeah. You don't know what the character's like. If I'm doing a scene with Mickey and I say, let's get out of here. You know, I don't know if the room's on fire or if it's to go out for a burger. You know, all that stuff comes through. And you got to rely on the director for that now.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Jeff's asking, what's the most important lesson you got from studying with Dallas Butler?
Well, it was definitely that it's there were several little tidbits that came in handy. Some are techniques and some are more over kind of philosophical things. The philosophical thing is that it's acting. It's no difference whether there's a camera there or there isn't. It is still acting. There's different techniques with it, and it's a little different than on-camera acting because you have to make up for the fact that no one can see you, and you have to give the animators something to animate. In other words, hype up your energy a little bit to almost where it sounds like you're overacting. Doesn't sound that when it's played back. And if you just do that on your recorder at home, just record yourself doing some lines, you play it back and you go, God, that felt a lot, you know, hotter, and that sounded a lot more exciting when I did that than when you play it back. So you got to compensate and kind of go overboard a little bit to bring up that energy level. That was important. Give the animator something to animate. Use your hands, body. Everyone does that. You don't have to stand there just totally stiff in front of the microphone as long as you're in the little area, the cardioid in front of the microphone so that they pick up your voice and you don't hit the mic stand or anything. Yeah, use your hands a little bit. Get into the acting of it. There's so many little things.
We all hit it, and it's like, okay, all right. Can I still use that take? You know, it's usually when you're really feeling it.
Oh, yeah. That's the way it is now, especially with Mickey and the Roadster Racers and Mickey's Funhouse and all the other ones we're doing is you do like 3 in a row, you know. Come on, Mickey, let's go. Come on, Mick, let's go. Come on, Mickey, let's go. You know, you just give it 3 different intonations, and then they'll say, oh, I like that third one. Give me a safety on that. And you do the same thing again. And you, boom, then on to the next line.
ABC, baby, ABC.
ABC.
Who do you have a favorite character to voice?
Well, I'll tell you of the stuff I'm doing now. Hop Pop is really up there because I got to create the voice myself. Goofy, you know, will always be my favorite because, gosh, that's been my whole career for like 30 some years. And I just love him as a character. He was my favorite Disney character. But Hop Pop,
He's kind of a West Texas kind of frog, and I just had a lot of fun doing him and imbibing in him that kind of a voice.
So I got to create it and riff with him and develop this character. So in some ways, I feel closer to him than I even do to Goofy.
The writing on that show is so strong, and the
It's
character
really
development. It's also, yeah, that guy's Hop Pop is a pretty wild kind of character. He's got a real torturous kind of flavor.
Yeah, they just played the Halloween special that I hadn't seen, and that's what happens in this. I did. Who am I thinking of? Mr. Sulu from Star Trek. George Takei. We were doing a whole cartoon together. I never got to meet him.
Yeah.
But sometimes you get also celebrities will pop in from time to time. This last year we did a Mickey and the Roadster Racers, and believe it or not, one of the characters was Alice Cooper.
Wow.
And so he actually, you know, he is a Goofy fan, and he wanted to meet me, and so I got to go down to where he was recording and kind of hang out with him a little bit. That was kind of special. So once in a while you get to do some fun things like that.
That's crazy. What was the character he was voicing?
Alistair Coupe DeVille. So it was based on Alice Cooper, and it looked like him a little bit, so he didn't have to stretch too much. But he was a good voice actor, actually.
That's
you
amazing.
know, just because you're famous doesn't make you a great voice actor, but he was.
A lot of people asking about Caitlin Robrock.
Yeah.
As the new voice of Minnie. Do you know anything about that? Somebody?
Yeah, I don't know how much I can say, but yeah, she's doing a great job. As a matter of fact, here at Toon House, we did her first demo.
That's amazing.
So I take some credit for getting her going.
Yeah, Caitlin used to work at Disneyland.
Yes, she did.
Right?
So she has always been a big Disney fan, and she's also plays a character named Felicia on Amphibia. So I've been working with her on that as well as some of the Disney series.
Well, and let's go back to even Russi Taylor and Wayne Allwine.
Yeah.
Russi, who just passed away last year, this year. This year's been such a blur. It's last year.
Yeah, she passed away, I guess it was last year. And she, for those of you who don't know, she when I started doing Goofy back in '87, Russi Taylor was doing Minnie. Wayne Allwine was doing Mickey, which he'd done off and on since 1977. But then they solidified the voice, and he did it until he passed away in 2009. They were married to each other. They weren't in the beginning. They were both in bad marriages. They started working together, fell in love, divorced their respective spouses, and got married.
Ooh,
and
I want to go back to that holiday party.
I'm sorry, what?
I want to go back to that holiday party, like,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
oh, over the punch
But they
bowl.
were Mickey and Minnie. They just embodied those characters so much, and they were just great together. And Wayne was an extraordinarily talented guy, very musical, had won an Emmy for sound editing, actually, as well as working in the sound department at Disney with the second Mickey Mouse. The first one was Walt Disney. Second was Jimmy McDonald, who his protege in the sound department was Wayne Allwine, picked up learning how to do Mickey from Jimmy, took that over in 1977, and then again full-time in 1986, and did it until he passed away.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, so you are actually a Disney legend.
Yeah, that was so cool.
Tell us about that.
Well, you know, it's like underwhelming the way it happened. They have an award for people that they feel have done something great for Disney over the years. And ours was, and I got a letter saying you've been selected to be a Disney legend, and you'll be at the D23 convention on stage live in front of about 4,500 people, get my award. And I got mine along with Robin Williams and Betty White and some of the Golden Girls and some
Wow.
people that did some more technical stuff with Disney. And ours was the first one in front of the world, I guess. Everyone other one, the earlier ones were on the lot over at Disney. But they've been doing about 10 people get the award every couple of years at D23, and now they've gotten much bigger stars like Christine Aguilera and Stan Lee and Danny Elfman and all sorts of George Lucas and a lot of Oprah Winfrey and more big name celebrities. But I was kind of in that first group.
There's nobody bigger than Bill.
Oh, gosh, thanks.
Did you, I mean, what it's like, I guess it's like, it's mind blowing to me to think like you have had all these achievements and you're still so humble, so kind. When I posted that I was going to be doing this interview with you, everybody was just like, Bill's the sweetest. Bill's the sweetest. You know, you have this amazing reputation. So I do appreciate you coming on the show.
Of course.
Gracing us with your good juju. Way to flatter the gooper. Yeah. It's true.
Hey, that's the best thing about voiceover is you don't have to retire. And
Yeah.
I thought I'd be out to pasture by now, but no, they keep hiring me. And June Foray worked until just a few weeks before she passed away at like 98 or 99. And, you know, Mel Blanc until he passed away. You don't have to quit this job. And people always say, when are you going to retire? And I say, from what and why? It's the best job in the world.
Yeah. Was this on your vision board? You know, are you surprised at how your career's turned out?
Oh, I'm totally, because I know how tough it is. There's about 160,000 Screen Actors Guild members in LA. About all of them want to do voiceover.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, if for someone coming into town to get into voiceover, it's like just coming out of high school and joining the NBA, because you're up against all the celebrities that want to do this too. Tom Hanks and Tim Allen and all of these kind of stars. They like doing celebrities too. Like one of the characters on Mickey and the Roadster Racers is Jay Leno. I doubt if Jay needs the work, but he loves doing it.
Yeah, I know. It is definitely one of the most fun jobs in the world. Let's see. What other questions do we have? Bill, you should go to Singapore. This is a really good question. What would you say inspires you, Bill?
Oh my gosh.
Gorge.
Just gorge. You know, I got really inspired when I was doing the dog show, because I of course love dogs, and I've always been an animal person. I was going into college originally to get into zoology, but I didn't have that study habit, and I partied too much. So my degree was in broadcast journalism. But the just finding out about these animals, you know, that live with us, that share our lives and give unconditional love, just to be petted. And I mean, it's like they're amazing creatures, and we can learn a lot from them, because just unconditional love. And I heard a joke the other day on a show. I think it was on the Comedy Store series that's on HBO, and it was a great line. Someone had said that people say that your wife is your best friend. Says, no, dogs are. You put your wife and a dog in the trunk for about an hour, open up the trunk, which one's glad to see you? You know. No. I'm inspired by so many people in this industry, and just people that dare to try. You know, it's very difficult to definitely do anything in show business. And I know how difficult it is, but to overcome your natural fears and just go for it. That always inspires me to do better myself, because I'm typically a very shy person. I always have been. It took me 35 years almost to come out to California and get going, you know, and I finally just had to jump off the cliff and hope there was a net, and it worked out okay.
Miles Eastman actually had a really good question too. We've talked a lot about luck and success and good fortune, but what about any struggles you might have encountered early on in your voice acting career? Anything that was challenging?
Oh, well, people think because I came out here, and Goofy was my first animated character audition.
Wow.
For a series, I should say. I'd done a few little things before, but that was after 12 years of radio, stand up, which is one of the toughest things you can do, and you know, going to $50 a night bars to do comedy, and where everyone's drunk, and there are a lot of rough nights that you got to go through to try and, yeah, you got to pay your dues basically.
Did
If
you
you
have
can
kids at
survive
the
that.
time? I was
Huh?
just wondering, did you have kids at the time you were doing stand up?
Oh no, that was all. Yeah, my son was born in '89, so he's going to be 31, I guess, in
Okay.
you know, a few weeks, and or is 32? What is it? Yeah, I guess no,
This
31.
year,
Yeah,
you know, doesn't
31. But you know, he was born in, so he always knew me as doing Goofy. He thought people did this as a real job. People back in Kansas, they don't know. They have no idea what goes on in voiceover. They're like, well, do you wear the suit? You know, I don't wear the suit. I just talk. And they all think it's like Robin Williams and Mrs. Doubtfire. They always think you're looking at a cartoon and you're adding voices to it. That's the biggest misconception. Or that I wear the suit. But they don't get it. They don't get it. But my son thinks everybody does this. When he was young, we were in Florida, and his granddad was going off to work. He says, well, Austin, I got to go off to work. And he says, well, what voice do you do? You know, so he thought this was normal.
That's so funny. He didn't ever want to get into it though, huh?
Oh, he did, but he didn't want to. He can actually. I guess he does a really good Goofy. He won't do it around me. But he went the music route, and he just loves music, and he's a very talented musician, and has produced albums and stuff like that. But he actually, we finally got him to do a voice demo, and he's actually pretty good, much better, and he's done stand-up before too, kind of dabbling in that stuff. But I thought, I don't want to do the same thing the old man's doing, so
yeah,
wanted to find his own way.
You know. This question has actually come up quite a lot, and maybe you can enlighten me. Will the wise old crab make a revival? A lot of people asking about the wise old crab.
The wise old crab?
Yes, I think it was a video game you did. I feel like
I may have. You know, that's so weird. I have to look at IMDb to even figure out what the heck I've done. You'll do some video game and where I could have been a crab, and you'll do like 15, 20 characters or something, and I don't remember what I did. People do that all the time. Oh, I saw you in this card. I wish I remembered that.
And I mean, a lot of people have been asking about that character. So clearly, Wise Old Crab has garnered some fans.
Yes. Have someone tell me what
yeah,
was
feel free to chime in if you guys want to enlighten us about the wise old
crab.
Did anybody talking yet? I just want to, we have about 10 minutes until our stream will actually shut down because we're limited at 60 minutes. Are you good to go for a couple more minutes? I know we're running long,
I'd be glad to.
Lots of great questions. John Seeds, who's been on a few of these, it's his birthday today. Could you give him
happy birthday.
A goofy howl, please?
Gorge, happy birthday.
Awesome. Guys, if you do have a couple more questions, go ahead and throw them in the question box down at the bottom. We'll see if we can get to them. If it's your first time tuning in, hey, what do they say? Like, subscribe, share. Hopefully, if you dig the show, come and tune in next week. We have Emmy-nominated Rick Zee, who's the voice of Spike on Tom and Jerry, as well as a million other things. So stay tuned
And
for
I've
that
been
as well.
on Tom and Jerry as well when they have Irish Butch. I did I did Droopy Dog, another dog on Tom and Jerry a couple of
You were a
times.
dog. I've done a number of cats.
I know it's
actually.
a career choice.
Toodles on Tom and Jerry was a cat. Jabanya and Yokai Watch was a cat. So I guess we're like cats and dogs.
You
here.
got the cats and dogs. I do now dogs and frogs, I guess.
Dogs and frogs. Hey, that's a nice niche. This is a pretty cool question. What character have you never played?
Oh gosh.
That you would like to? Or I mean, I feel like character is tough because if a character exists, somebody's already voicing it. But is there like a show or?
Oh gosh, I would have liked. I did some background voices in the SpongeBob movie, but SpongeBob would be great to do. Tom's so great. I love that character. Of course, I was very fortunate in the early. One of the first movies I did was some background voices on Roger Rabbit when I first came to town.
I love that.
And I was in the ADR group. So, you know, any of Mel Blanc's, I'm very fortunate to have done several of his because he was like the god of all early voice actors. You know, when I was growing up, he was the only one I knew whose voice it was, you know. You couldn't find out because the credits would go by so fast. Who's this June Foray person? Who's this Don Messick and Dawes Butler? And, you know, you couldn't find out about any of this stuff. Now, with the internet, you can find exactly what everyone's done.
Although the credits do still, like, they cut off early on.
They do, or they shrink them down so they can show a commercial for the next spot.
Like, I try to pause it and then they go away.
Yeah. So, there's my name.
Thanks, IMDb. Yeah, Roger Rabbit was so good. Let's see. Oh, well, this is probably a question that you get. Oh, do you know if Dog Show is coming back?
It's not scheduled to right now, but that could be because of COVID. And, you know, it's always a possibility. We'll just have to wait and see because we finished up right when COVID was starting. And we shot our last scenes in February in Hawaii. And they were just kind of shutting down the airport with COVID. And we did the Beagle Brigade at LAX, and the CDC was out there checking about some weird virus that was starting to come in from Chinese planes and stuff. So after the lockdown, it's kind of been just static right now. They're, I think, waiting until they get a better handle on all this, because we did a lot of traveling and we're with people, and that presents a whole bunch of problems now.
Well,
but
there's a lot of fans that are big fans of that show. What can we do to support a potential second season? Is there somebody?
Hey, I guess, you know, they do listen to letters. Just write to Disney Plus and say, give us more Dog Show. It's a dog's life.
Okay, I'm on it. You guys get on it too and write to Disney Plus, and if you want to see more of it, it's a dog's life. Sorry. Then go ahead and check it out. Can you tell us more about the Wonderful World of Mickey Mouse coming out later this month?
Oh, okay. I don't know. I always wonder, you know, because they never have said don't talk about it, but usually until something's announced, obviously someone's announced it coming out. So it's just more fun adventures with Mickey and the gang, some new characters, and it's aimed at the younger audience as well. And I love doing those because the incidental voices are fun, like Mickey and Mickey's Mixed Up Adventures and Roadster Racers. I've done about 25 different characters on that series. So those are always fun. They'll always have me do Goofy and Pluto. Pluto's in it. And then I got a couple other voices. Will you be, the mayor? Will you be the no, not the bartender. That's my house. But the ice cream vendor, probably more appropriate. Or whatever the ancillary characters are.
Yeah.
And you get to come up with voices for those.
So we did get confirmation on the crab, and it was a wise old crab on the Nickelodeon game with SpongeBob.
I could have done, yeah.
A lot of people asking about Wise Old Crab.
And Wise Old
What
Crab.
if you
I'm going to
were?
have to go look that up and see what I did because I have,
That
I
one's
don't know
for
what
the
I said.
archive.
Video games are weird too because, there's so many, lines that can be disjointed. When we did
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts, it was like, a book this thick. And you'd go to page 18, line 162, then go 5 pages later and do another line. And you don't get a linear story from doing video games generally.
Wow, that's amazing. Um, well, I mean, before we wrap things up, I'm just curious, on the times when you're not working, what are some things that you like to do for fun?
Well, we've been doing a lot of stuff around the house,
Mhm.
fixing up things like painting and all of that kind of boring stuff.
Mhm.
Just to keep my car from the battery dying is just driving, going for driving. Um, During COVID, there's not a whole lot.
Yeah,
I would like to travel a little bit more, but that's out of the question for at least a while.
better
And
not
just stay
be.
safe. I love photography. I did some, news photography when so photography's always been a hobby of mine. I used to do
Mhm.
headshots for people. That's
Actually,
fun. I
didn't
do it
did you
mainly
do
for fun now.
didn't you shoot a photo in your studio?
I certainly have. Yes.
Is there
Yeah.
one like over, don't you have one like over there on that side of the wall, or
Of
a photo
let's
you
see.
shot?
What do I have? I have a lot of
Let's see.
wacky things. Just kind of a very messy room right
Oh,
now. But that's
let's,
kind
yeah.
of the neat thing. I can show you one thing.
Yeah, show something.
Is yes, this is the Disney Legend Award. So it's a nice heavy thing, and it's very nice. And they put my name in that. That's my proudest accomplishment
Oh
right
my
there.
gosh,
And
that
it's
looks
heavy. It's made out of bronze.
beautiful and heavy. Wow. Wow, Bill, it's been so amazing getting the chance to catch up with you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. You're doing so great, and I love your show. I love your
Thanks.
show. Yeah,
It's
great questions. It's so
it's
much
been
fun.
fun. I was feeling, really just jaded on social media. I was off for like over a year, and I was like, I gotta get back on. I don't really want to do it. I'm
Yeah,
feeling nervous. And then I was like, oh, I'll reboot my show. This was a podcast and a web series like that started 11 years ago. And so, but this version, like where I interview you on Instagram TV, is like there's no editing. There's no graphics.
yeah. It's
I don't
just
need to
like
hire a video person. It's just like so easy and perfect
it
for
works.
this
It
day and age.
works.
Oh, one more quick question. Will the old VHS sing-alongs be on Disney Plus?
Oh, that'd be so cool. Write to them. Tell them that they need ideas. They need content. We've done.
Yeah.
Gosh, I've done so many sing-along albums over the years. Probably 30 to 50 in the last 35 years. So, maybe they will. That'd be great if they would.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Well, guys, you know where to go to make change. Just right to Disney Plus, and yeah, we're so glad you came on the show. Bill, of course, most of you guys are already following Bill, but if not after this, it's at Goofy Bill. And if you want to hear more of these shows, go ahead and follow me. And next week we have Rick Zeef, who is he's done a million things. Emmy nominated for Spike and the new Tom and Jerry show. We have Katie Lee coming up on the show, so definitely stay tuned. And thank you so much, Bill. I'll have to
Oh,
drive
it
by
was
your
my
house
pleasure.
and give
Pardon?
you away one of these days.
Gosh, well, thanks for having me. Yep.
Thank you. Okay, we'll
Take
see you
care.
guys next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.